It's a stretch of highway that elicits a pre-journey groan every time. Lengthy delays and dangerous near misses are a regular feature of crossing the Toowoomba Range. And after significant damage during January's floods, road users say it's worse than ever. Now, proponents of a Toowoomba bypass believe they have a strong economic case to upgrade the road and reroute heavy traffic away from the city. From Toowoomba, Kieran McKechnie reports.
Every day, more than 17,000 cars, trucks and buses crawl up and down the Toowoomba Range. Their journey is hampered by the steep mountain climb and a string of seemingly never-ending roadworks.
Sometimes it can be 40 minutes to an hour going up and down, so yeah, it's frustrating.
I do find it frustrating. It badly needs upgrading.
Because when you sort of hit the top of the range, you've got James Street and that big curve, I mean, it's too dangerous.
To make an already hazardous stretch of road worse, the range took a battering in January's torrential flash floods. Large slabs of the road were literally washed off the side of the mountain.
The damage here, the road is just ripped up, debris is everywhere.
4 months on, one section of the crossing is still restricted to one lane.
For years there's been problems on the range, but since the natural disaster back in January we've been experiencing delays in every service every day. If we're lucky, the delay's only 45 to 50 minutes in a 2-hour journey, but you've only got to have something like a minor accident or a breakdown and you can end up being delayed for 3 or 4 hours at a time.
Tony Hopkins is the Chief Operating Officer of Greyhound Australia. The bus company operates 24 trips a day between Brisbane and Toowoomba. But the daily delays to those services are more than just an inconvenience.
It affects our brand, it affects our patronage, but it also affects our timetabling. It's very hard to bring a driver down. You've got to be able to give him his legal break and send him back up. So it's just a flow-on effect to all your services.
But worse, he says, is the danger to his drivers and Greyhound passengers.
It's at the point now where it's quite unsafe. You can take all the steps that you like from fatigue management, road safety laws and everything else, but the main thing that's, if you like, contributing to the accidents out there at the moment is the state of the range.
2 weeks ago, a Greyhound coach was stopped at roadworks when a truck lost control of its brakes, ploughing into the bus. 4 passengers and a road worker were injured and taken to hospital. Tony Hopkins says his driver is still shaken by the accident, which he says could have been so much worse.
He's just a little bit more nervous now driving up and down the range because, as he says, he was sitting waiting at a set of roadworks and seemingly out of nothing, all of a sudden he was cleaned up by a truck, you know, and it's that type of worry factor that all of the drivers have got now.
That worry is backed up by statistics. The RACQ has given the 16-kilometre stretch of the Warrego Highway between Helidon and Toowoomba a risk rating of high. The range crossing itself averages more than 1 death a year and about 17 injuries.
Anyone who's driven it with in a convoy of semi-trailers down or up the range knows just how dangerous it can be. It's dangerous for the truckies too. And we're seeing a major confluence of vehicles coming from the south through New South Wales, from the west, from the coal seam gas fields and the agriculture out west, through Toowoomba into the major ports in Brisbane.
Already 5,000 trucks a day pass through Toowoomba's suburban streets. But with the rapid expansion of the coal seam gas industry in the Surat Basin, local authorities believe that traffic is only going to get worse.
You're going to see those heavy transport numbers in both directions actually double. We're going to see a 100% increase in the next few years in the heavy vehicles as well as the normal traffic.
Yet Peter Taylor hopes the coal seam boom will provide greater incentive for the federal government to make the Toowoomba bypass an urgent priority.
It's simply not good enough for the biggest inland city in Australia to have a major transport link that drives the national economy jeopardised by the lack of infrastructure.
He's not alone in that view. The Surat Basin Corporation has joined forces with Queensland's Resources Council to push the economic case to upgrade the highway and bypass Toowoomba altogether.
It's a very important economic driver for the state of Queensland, the Darling Downs alone in terms of primary production, but then on top of that with the Surat Basin, it's enormous, the money that will be generated there, and it would certainly have to be a strong part of a case for the development of a good spine.
With the state and federal governments set to reap the benefits of the coal seam gas industry, Paul Antonio believes they should do their bit to ensure the industry is viable. And that means adequate infrastructure.
When you take into consideration the enormous amount of money that will be made by the state government out of royalty and the enormous take there'll be for the federal government in terms of tax revenue, it's absolutely enormous.
The benefit of building the bypass is a multi-billion-dollar payback to the national economy.
While there's certainly new hope that that economic case will provide the impetus for action, for many it's the safety of motorists that remains the driving force in their campaign for a Toowoomba bypass.
We got away with a near miss on Friday, and how many near misses are we going to have to go through before something gets done?
That report from Kieran McKechnie in Toowoomba.